I'm Julia. We are talking to the award-winning Muni Long, and we have you featured as our Audacy launch artist, and for good reason. I mean, you're an incredible singer and songwriter. You've been at this for a long time. You've had many successes, and especially with your song "Made for Me." How does it feel seeing that song do what it did?
You know, like the lyrics say, can't put into words how I feel. I don't really think that I've had a chance to fully digest it.
Okay.
But the way social media works is so crazy. It's like, unless you are in the crowd or there, it's kind of like you are, there's like this sense of detachment. I don't actually think I will ever understand how that song has impacted people. Somebody told me a story the other day about, they heard like police officers over the radio dispatchers, like, "Twin, where have you been?" So it's just like, how can I ever really know unless I'm in those moments? But I'm definitely excited for what Made for Me has done for me as an artist, and like new opportunities, more music. Yeah.
I love that song because, I mean, not only is it just this super cute and wholesome TikTok trend, but when I really dove into it, I'm like, this is a beautiful love song. Like I'm getting married in October. It is on the playlist.
Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. But when I dove into you more as an artist, I'm like, I feel like there's not enough artists who still make love songs. And I'm like, Money, she does. And why is that important to you?
I'm happy. I'm happy to be the person.
Yeah.
Let me, I fully believe in love. Even though it's kind of crazy out here. If you, according to Twitter, the dating pool is acid. But
yeah.
I really do believe, like, you can find your person, and you can have a drama-free, partnership with somebody. And so, love hasn't been super popular throughout the last few years, but I think that's why my songs work, is because maybe people are tired of, being alone, and especially after the pandemic and everybody was kind of like isolated. So it was perfect timing for me.
Well, I think also why your songs work so well, especially with your brand new song, Made Me Forget, is it's a love song, but there's also like very real elements to it where love isn't perfect, but it's this song that is so comforting. It feels like a hug when I listen to it, but that's what having a partner is. And I think that's important to highlight. And you found such a beautiful way to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, man. I think, being married, I've been married for 9 years. A lot of people don't know that about me.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, I think it's just like human relationships, whether it's platonic or, romantic, no relationship is perfect, and everybody's experiencing life for the first time. And, there needs to be grace, and there needs to be communication and transparency. And I think sometimes people get caught up in like the trips and like the honeymoon phase. And, oh God, I love you so much, but real love is like, what about your ugly days? What about when you're annoying? What about when I'm irritated? When I'm down, when I'm sick, and I'm asking you for a million things, like that moment right when you sit down and I'm like, hey, can you go get me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what about that?
No, it's so true. I mean, that person is with you 365 for many years or however long, and they have to see everything. And I think that's why I love Made Me Forget so much. It's been out for a couple of days now. How are you feeling about it now that everyone else gets to hear it?
I was just talking to a friend of mine, my makeup artist, the other day, and she asked me a similar question. I'm like, you know what it's like? It's like looking at yourself in the mirror,
mm-hmm.
See you. So like when I hear my music in headphones, it's like looking at myself in the mirror, right? I know what I look like, but the mirror is just kind of confirming it. So I know what I sound like, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like how I heard it in my head when I was thinking of it, when I was making it. But when it's out in the world and I'm watching how other people use it, it's like seeing yourself on TV. It's different.
Okay.
You know, it's slightly different. It's like, oh wow, that's what I look like to other people.
Yeah.
And so to see how people use the song, how it affects them, how they weave it into the conversation of their life, the soundtrack of their life. I think it's really interesting. And I do hear the music differently. I do. And I think it's also great that people are embracing R&B. You know, they're like, we are so happy that you're leaning in. You know, I'm not trying to do anything else, make it be, you know, cross up. Like, I'm just making R&B music, and it's amazing that people want it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it so much. And I do want to back up to Made for Me, because like something I wanted to say was the first thing I heard when I listened to that song in full was the production of it is so good. And it's so like, I don't know, it just like, it makes you feel something, especially when you hit it in the car. Like, how was it getting that song back from Jermaine Dupri? Like once you how did it work? Right? Like did you send him like your thoughts and then he sends back the music?
So I had I already had like a piano vocal. So like basically me singing to the piano that you hear there. And then I went to the studio with JD and asked him, like, hey, I have this song, like, you know, it doesn't have drums. I don't know if I wanted to have drums, but if it did, like, what would it sound like to you? And funny enough, the first day we didn't even work on that song. We worked on something totally different vibe. And like 2 weeks passed. I think he like worked on it maybe that night, like after I left studio. And I listened to it, and I think I had heard it just as a piano vocal for so long. I was like,
yeah,
you know, I don't know. Like, is this good? Does it need drums? Is it too much? That's another thing that I don't think people realize about me. I do not judge my music. I just make it, and I let like my body tell me how it feels. Like,
oh, I like that.
Like, I don't have like, is it good or bad? This is a hit, this isn't. I just know whether I want to hear it again, if, you know, if it makes me feel, like you said, like a warm hug. And then I played it for a few people. They're like, you're tripping. This is crazy. And
yeah.
I was like, okay, well, if you say so, cool. And I guess they were right. You know?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure. Yeah, look, I'm sure the original version was amazing, but like you're right, like the drums, it just like adds that chills factor like out of your skin while you're listening to it. And it just makes the song so like big and vibrational.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, one last thing before I go. So our company's initiative, I'm Listening, is to end the stigma surrounding of mental health. So when it comes to tough days, you know, and especially being an artist and having to be creative and show up, like what are some things that you do for yourself or reminders that you give yourself?
Well, first of all, you know, this is definitely something that I 100% feel like needs to be talked about more, because it's funny. It's like, I think having my own, I don't want to say struggles, but journey with mental health, and just making sure I get enough rest, making sure I can be full before I go, you know, try to share any piece of myself with other people. There are people touching me, and like, you know, sometimes on a shoot day, I might have 5 or 6 people touching me at the same time. You know, makeup, hair, styling, assistant, somebody's putting on lotion, you know, and it's just like, yeah. You know, and so I have to make sure that, like I said, I'm getting enough rest, I'm eating right, that I make everybody feel that they have the space to be themselves, right? Because I'm very sensitive to that energy of just like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Because that kind of stuff really does affect you. And so I just always make sure I manage my space. Like if I'm in a space, and if for any reason I'm uncomfortable, I don't even have to know what it is. For any reason I'm uncomfortable, I leave, you know? Not stay in places where I don't feel like I can be my full self. I don't think enough people do that. A lot of times we feel obligated, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to leave too early. Like, no, 5 minutes. If I'm there, 2 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't vibing. I stopped talking to people for the same reason. It's like, nobody's doing anything wrong. This just doesn't vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think more people need to normalize. We need to normalize that. Like, if you're not vibing, move on.
Yeah. And it's fine. And I think a lot of that self-care, at least for me, I notice comes in your 30s where like you start treating yourself like a baby again, where you're like, am I fed? Did I sleep? Is my baseline good? Am I feeling comfortable with what's around me? Because then if anything tough comes up, you can handle it so much better.
Yes. And that's the other thing too. I do not get mad as fast as it takes a lot. And even then, if I do feel anger or feel those sort of like very draining emotions, I allow myself to process it fully before I address the issue. Yeah. Because anger doesn't do anything except for like if you want to break something or if you want to like work out or if you're going to war. And I don't want to do that. I want peace. So I think like if you really truly want peace, you have to embody that. You have to be it. You have to be a peaceful person. And man, you're right. Like in my 30s, I just kind of was just like, you know what? You're right. It's totally fine. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to fight about it because I just don't care that much. Yeah,
for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was great getting to talk to you. And thank you for your music. I genuinely love it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.